The night was cold and quiet. Jalen, a human mechanic, was finishing repairs at an old space yard near the edge of the colony. Rusted alien ships, broken cargo, and empty crates lay scattered around him. Only the sound of wind moved through the dark whispering between metal scraps. He wiped sweat from his forehead and picked up his tool bag. Just then he heard something. A sound. Small. Weak. It was not the wind. He paused. Listened. A soft voice. Crying. Faint words carried through the cold air. Please, someone, help. Jalen turned toward the sound. It came from the old alien wreck near the fuel station. That ship had crashed 2 nights ago. No one had gone near it. People said the aliens were dead, or dangerous. But that voice, it didn't sound dangerous. He grabbed his flashlight and walked slowly toward the wreck. The door was bent and covered in dust. He pushed it open. Inside it was dark and cold. Sparks still blinked from broken panels. Smoke hung in the air like a thin ghost. Wires dangled from the ceiling. There was no movement. Then he saw him. A small alien boy, barely 5 years old, sat in the corner, knees pulled to his chest. His skin was pale blue, his eyes glowing with tears. Beside him, a taller figure lay still, an adult alien woman. The boy looked up. His voice trembled. My mother won't wake up. Jalen knelt down, careful not to scare the child. I'm not here to hurt you, he said gently. Is she breathing? The boy nodded quickly. Yes, but she won't open her eyes. She's cold. I tried everything. I called and called. No one came. Jalen checked the woman's pulse. Faint, but steady. Her skin was clammy and her lips had a strange color. He didn't know alien biology well, but she was definitely alive. He looked around the broken ship. The control panel was destroyed. Medical pods shattered. They had crashed hard. Jalen looked back at the boy. What's your name? Kale, the boy whispered. I'm Jalen. I'm going to help your mother, Kale. We need to get her out of here. Kale didn't move. His small hands held his mother's tightly. Will she die? He asked in a scared voice. Not if I can help it, Jalen said firmly. He gently lifted the alien woman. She was light, too light, like she hadn't eaten in days. Kale followed, never leaving her side. Jalen carried her to his hovercart and laid her on a soft blanket. The colony gates were quiet as Jalen returned. It was late. Lights flickered in the buildings and a cold breeze blew dust across the roads. He rushed to the emergency clinic, but when he stepped inside, the nurse looked up and froze. Is that an alien? Jalen nodded. She's alive. She needs help. The nurse shook her head. We're not allowed to treat non-human species here, not without council permission. She's dying, Jalen shouted. The nurse backed away. I'm sorry, I can't help. Kyle stood behind him, holding his mother's hand. His small voice echoed in the clinic. Please, don't let my mom die. Jalen clenched his fists. No one else was coming. No one cared. He picked her up again. Fine, I'll do it myself. Jalen took them to his workshop. It wasn't a hospital, but it had power, heat, and basic tools. He placed her on the cleanest table, covered her with a thermal blanket, and ran a scan with his old med drone. The drone buzzed. Alert. Foreign toxin detected. Organ failure beginning. Immediate treatment required. Jalen stared at the screen. She's poisoned. Kale's eyes filled with fear. What does that mean? It means, if we don't find the cure fast, she won't wake up. Kale's lips trembled. You're the only one who came. Jalen sat down beside the child. His hand rested on the boy's shoulder. Then I'll be the one who stays. Outside, the wind howled louder. Inside, an alien mother clung to life. And only one human had come for her. Jalen didn't sleep. All night he watched the alien woman breathe, slow, weak breaths, as if each one might be her last. Kale had fallen asleep in a chair beside the table, clutching his mother's hand, tightly even in his dreams. The med-drone's lights blinked red, toxin spreading, organs failing. Immediate intervention required. Jalen had no antidote. He was just a mechanic. But giving up was not an option. As soon as the sun rose, Jalen wrapped the woman in a heat blanket, lifted her into his hover cart again, and headed to the Human Health Center in the central dome of the colony. It was the biggest medical place in this sector. If anyone could help her, it was there. He pushed through the front doors, carrying her carefully. Nurses stared. A few gasped. "She needs help," Jalen shouted. A man in a white coat stepped forward. "You can't bring that thing in here." "She's not a thing," Jalen snapped. "She's alive. She's poisoned. Her son is begging for help." People in the waiting area stared. Some whispered, "She's alien. We'll get infected. This is human territory." The boy stepped forward, trembling. He spoke softly, but it silenced the room. "She's all I have left." The doctor frowned. "We have rules." Jalen turned, furious. "And we have hearts." But no one stepped forward. Outside, Jalen stood under the gray sky, defeated. He looked down at Cale. The boy didn't cry this time. He just stared at his mother, his eyes empty of hope. "She was a healer," Cale whispered. "Back on our planet, she saved so many people, and now no one will save her." Jalen knelt beside him. "There has to be someone who will help." Suddenly, he remembered someone, an old friend, Lyra, once a military medic. She had been dismissed for treating alien refugees. She lived on the outskirts of the colony where no one dared go. Without another word, Jalen turned his cart and headed for the outer dome. Lyra's place was a mess, half shelter, half lab. Solar panels buzzed above rusted panels. Inside, she worked alone, bent over a strange device. When she saw Jalen, she raised a brow. "You brought me junk again?" "No," he said. "I brought you a life." Her smile faded. When she saw the alien woman and Cale, she froze, but not in fear. Her eyes filled with something else, understanding. "She's been poisoned. Can you help her?" Jalen asked. Lyra scanned her quickly. Her face turned pale. "It's delta worm toxin, extremely rare. Her system is shutting down fast." "Is there a cure?" "There's no manufactured antidote," she said slowly. "Only one thing might work. It's a root. It grows deep in the whispering wastes." Cale's eyes widened. "That place is cursed." "It's dangerous," Lyra agreed. "But the root pulls poison from blood. It's her only chance." Jalen stood. "Then I'll go." "You'll need protection," Lyra warned. "The wastes are full of traps, creatures, and voices that drive people mad." Jalen didn't flinch. "Then tell me what I need." That night, as Cale stayed by his mother's side, Jalen packed thermal boots, a breathing mask, a scanner for life forms, and a small photo Lyra gave him of the root they needed. Before he left, Cale grabbed his arm. "You'll bring it back?" the boy asked, his voice almost too soft to hear. Jalen nodded. "I promise." Cale looked down. "I believe you." As the wind howled over the colony dome, Jalen walked alone toward the wastes, into a place no one returned from. Back in the shelter, the alien woman stirred in her sleep. She didn't open her eyes, but her fingers twitched, as if she felt someone was still fighting for her. The desert was alive, not with sound, but with silence so deep it made Jalen's ears ring. He had entered the whispering wastes an hour ago, and already the world had changed. The air shimmered with heat. The red sand shifted under his boots. Every rock looked like it could bite. Every shadow looked like it moved. And somewhere out here, under the sand, grew the root that could save Cale's mother. Jalen checked his scanner. Signal. Weak trace of xenon root, 2.1 kilometers northeast. Warning, life forms detected, unknown behavior. He took a breath and walked on. Back at Lyra's shelter, Cale was watching the med screen. His mother's heart rate was falling. Her breathing slowed. Will she die? Cale asked. Lyra didn't answer, but Cale stood up. I want to help. Lyra knelt beside him. You already have. You stayed strong when no one else did. You kept calling when the whole world was silent. Cale looked at his mother, tears in his eyes. Jalen's not silent. Jalen's boots sank deeper into the red ground. He followed the scanner, deeper into a canyon lined with bones. Bird bones, animal bones, and one human skull. He didn't stop, but then he heard something, just behind him. A whisper. Faint. Like wind. But it wasn't in his ear, it was in his head. She's not yours to save. Jalen turned fast. Nothing. He gritted his teeth and walked faster. In the shelter, Lyra wiped sweat from the alien woman's face. Her body was burning now. Her skin shimmered as if fire was under it. Her veins turned dark. Her breath came in sharp gasps. Kyle panicked. What's happening? The toxin is burning her from inside, Lyra said. It's trying to shut her down before the cure gets here. Cale grabbed his mother's hand. Please hold on, please. Jalen reached a cave where the signal pointed. Inside, glowing vines crawled over the walls like veins. In the center grew a single silver-rooted plant, the xenon root, but it wasn't alone. Wrapped around the root was a creature, part snake, part mist. It had no eyes. Only sharp movement. Jalen stepped forward slowly. The creature hissed. It didn't want to fight, but it didn't want to share either. Jalen raised his hands. I'm not here for you. I just need that root. It's for a child's mother. The creature tilted its head. It didn't understand words, but maybe it understood need. Jalen reached into his pack. Slowly, he took out something. A small, glowing cube. Cale's drawing. He had given it to Jalen before he left. A picture of his mom smiling, holding him. In her arms, Jalen placed it on the ground near the root. The creature looked and it moved aside. Back at the shelter, the alien woman gasped. Lyra's eyes widened. She's slipping, her organs are closing down, Cale screamed. Where's Jalen? In the cave, Jalen grabbed the root, wrapped it tightly, and turned to run. But outside the cave, something was waiting. Something that had followed his scent. A tall, black creature with long legs and claws like swords. Its body rippled like oil in sunlight. Its mouth opened without sound. It struck. Jalen rolled. The scanner fell. His backpack tore. He gripped the root and ran. The creature chased him through the rocks, across the bones, into the red wind. But just when it leaped, boom! An explosion behind it, dust flying everywhere. A second figure appeared. Lyra. Blaster, in hand. Thought you could use backup, she said, helping him up. You followed me? I never trusted this place, she replied. Now run. They returned hours later, torn, bleeding, exhausted. Cale stood up as soon as he saw them. Jalen dropped the root in Lyra's hands. She crushed it, mixed it fast, and injected the serum into the alien woman's neck. Seconds passed. Everyone held their breath. Then her body shuddered. Her breathing steadied. Her eyes fluttered open. Kyle, she whispered. Kyle burst into tears and hugged her. Jalen sat back, heart pounding. The sky turned black faster than it should have. Storm clouds rolled over the colony and the wind howled like something alive. But it wasn't a storm Jalen feared. It was the message Lyra had just decoded from the wreckage of Cale's crashed ship. This wasn't just an accident, she said, staring at the broken data tablet. Someone wanted her dead. Jalen froze. Who? Before she could answer, a sharp knock hit the door. 3 men stood outside. Cold eyes, military coats, no names. Behind them was a silent black hovercraft. We're here for the alien, one said. Turn her over. Jalen stepped in front of Cale and his mother. She's barely alive. She won't be for long, the man replied flatly. Not once the order's signed. Lyra whispered. They want to finish what they started. Jalen's jaw tightened. Then we run. The hovercar tore through the outer roads, heading toward the only place Jalen believed they'd never be followed. The Xerian wilds, a deep alien jungle where sound itself could turn against you. The jungle had a name, the Forest of Screams. Hours later, the hovercart reached the jungle's edge. Cale sat in the back, holding his mother close. She was awake, but weak, too weak to speak. Lyra handed Jalen a small device. Sound dampener. You'll need it. This place listens. Jalen activated it. A soft hum surrounded them. Their voices were muffled. They stepped into the jungle. It welcomed them with silence, but not peace. The trees were tall, their trunks twisted like bones. Vines moved when no one touched them. Strange glowing plants pulsed like heartbeats. And above them, eyes blinked in the dark leaves. Cale held tightly to Jalen's hand. Why are we here? He asked. Jalen kept walking. Because it's the one place they fear more than her. Every few minutes the jungle screamed. It didn't come from a beast, but from the trees themselves. A sudden shriek of wind, a cry that sounded like a baby, a whisper that wasn't words but made your hair rise. Cale flinched every time. Why does it scream? He asked. Lyra answered softly. They say the jungle remembers every death that happened inside it, and it wants more. Cale's mother squeezed his hand weakly. Do not fear it, she whispered. It is angry, not evil. Suddenly, a branch snapped nearby. Jalen turned sharply. Nothing. But then he saw them, figures in the trees moving with the wind, too smooth to be animals, not soldiers, not aliens, something else. Keep moving, he said quickly. Don't stop. Don't. Listen, but the jungle wanted them to listen. Hours passed, the path darkened. Cale slowed. Then they reached a clearing and froze. In the middle stood a stone structure, overgrown with vines and covered in symbols. In front of it was a figure, not human, not alien, but ancient, tall, covered in gray moss, eyes glowing like blue fire. The figure raised one long hand. The jungle went silent. Even the trees stopped moving. You have brought the healer, the figure said in a voice like echoing stone. She carries the voice of peace. Kyle stepped forward. You know her. We protected her once, it said. Before she was betrayed. Jalen spoke carefully. She was attacked. We think someone wants war again. The figure looked at Jalen. You are human. Yet you chose to protect the child and the fallen mother. Why? Jalen looked at Cale. Because no one else did. The figure was quiet, then it stepped aside. You may rest here, but the forest tests all who enter. It will learn your hearts. That night, they stayed in the ruins. But sleep did not come, the jungle whispered to them. Each of them heard something different. Jalen heard his old failures, the voice of his brother he couldn't save. Lyra heard screams from the battlefield. Cale heard silence, and then a question. If your mother dies, will you still believe in humans? Cale didn't answer. He just held her hand tighter. By morning, the jungle had changed. Where once there were thick vines and twisted trees, now the path was covered in glowing white petals. It was beautiful and wrong. Jalen awoke with a strange feeling in his chest. He looked around. Cale was gone. Panic hit instantly. He rushed through the ruins. Lyra was already searching. Cale's mother tried to rise, but she was too weak. Her eyes widened in fear. He's never wandered off before, Jalen said, heart racing. Something took him. No, Lyra whispered. Something called him. Kyle didn't remember walking. His feet moved on their own, as if pulled by a quiet voice in his head. The jungle opened for him. Branches lifted, roots shifted. The petals guided him deeper into the forest's heart. He stopped when he reached a pool of water glowing soft blue, and across the water stood a creature. It was tall, twice the height of a man. Its skin shimmered like crystal. wings of light, folded behind its back. Its face was masked, featureless, but its presence felt ancient. Kyle froze. "You called me?" he asked. The creature didn't speak, but Kyle heard it clearly in his mind. "You carry her blood, her strength, her truth. But you also carry fear." Kyle lowered his head. "She's still sick, she might die." The creature stepped aside. Behind it grew a strange plant, black leaves, glowing stem, alive with energy. Kyle stepped forward, but the creature raised its hand. "Only one with courage and sorrow may take the heart root." Jalen and Lyra arrived just in time to see Kale standing before the creature. Jalen rushed forward, but vines blocked his way. Lyra held him back. "Don't interfere. It's his test." The creature looked down at Kale again. "Tell me, child. Why should your mother live?" Kyle's lips trembled. "Because she gave up everything for peace. She tried to help your kind, our kind, every kind, and no one believed in her." He looked down. "I didn't either. I just wanted her to come back. But now, if she dies, I want her to know I'm proud. I want her to know I'm not afraid anymore." Tears rolled down his cheeks. "She's not just my mother. She's hope." The jungle shuddered. The creature stepped aside. The heart root bent forward, ready to be taken. Kale reached out and touched it. It pulsed with light, and the moment he pulled it from the ground, the entire forest went still. No more whispers, no more screams, just silence. Peaceful, pure silence. The way back was fast. The jungle no longer fought them. The path cleared, the wind calmed. The forest had accepted them. Back at the ruins, Kyle ran to his mother. Lyra prepared the root, crushing it into a golden paste. She injected it slowly into the woman's arm. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, light. Her veins glowed briefly. Her breath deepened. Her skin warmed. Her eyes opened. "Kale," she whispered. He fell into her arms, sobbing. "I wasn't brave, Mom, but I tried." She smiled weakly. "You were more than brave." Jalen stood back, watching the reunion, with quiet relief. But then, something inside him stirred. A question. If the creature knew who Kale was, if the jungle welcomed him, then this was bigger than just saving one life. He looked at Lyra. "We need answers." She nodded. "And I think her mother finally has them." She was alive, but deep inside, he knew this wasn't the end. The alien mother, Soraya, was finally awake, but her voice was hoarse. Her body was still weak. Lyra fed her slowly while Kyle held her hand like he'd never let go again. Jalen waited in silence, sitting near the fire they built from dry jungle, wood. The flames cracked gently, but inside his mind was burning. There were still too many questions. Who sabotaged her ship? Why did soldiers come to finish her off? And what was she really doing on this side of the galaxy? Finally, when Soraya had enough strength, she turned her head toward Jalen. "Why did you save us?" she asked. "Because no one else would," he said. She gave a faint smile. "Then you deserve the truth." She began to speak, and with every word, the jungle seemed to lean in to listen. "I am not just Kyle's mother," she said. "I was a peace envoy from the alien worlds of the Noreen Union. For the past 5 years, I have worked to stop the war between my people and yours." Jalen blinked. "But the war ended 2 years ago." "Only on paper," Soraya said. "The hatred is still alive. The weapons are still ready. My mission was secret. I came to offer something that could end the fear, a way to link our people by mind and memory. A peaceful bond." Kyle looked confused. "You never told me that." "I couldn't," she said gently. "You were too young, and the mission was dangerous." Lyra stepped closer. "So what happened to your ship?" Soraya's eyes turned dark. "Someone found out. A traitor in our own ranks. They fed information to human extremists. They wanted my ship to vanish before peace could begin. Jalen's heart sank. So that crash wasn't an accident. No, it was a message. And those men at the colony, they were the second part of it. They needed to make sure I never spoke again. Lyra clenched her jaw. And now that you're alive, they'll try again. Suddenly, Kyle stood. But she's awake now. She's safe, right? Soraya looked at him with love, but also sadness. I'm alive, but peace isn't. If I don't reach the Unity Council soon, war will return, quietly, in the shadows. My survival means nothing unless I speak. Jalen looked toward the edge of the forest. How far is the Unity Council? Soraya took a deep breath. 5 systems from here. But I'll never make it in this state, and I can't trust the official transport lines. Jalen looked at Lyra. We'll take her. Lyra blinked. Through 5-star systems? Past human checkpoints without getting caught? Jalen nodded. We've come this far, we don't stop now. That night the jungle gave them a sign. Strange lights rose into the air, floating like stars, but low and close. The forest was guiding them now. Kyle stared in awe. Is it saying goodbye? Soraya smiled. No, it's saying thank you. As they packed up and prepared to leave, Lyra pulled Jalen aside. Once we step out of this jungle, she whispered, they'll be watching. They'll know she's alive. I know, Jalen said. Then why are you still doing this? He looked at Kale, helping his mother sit up gently. Because that boy believed in me before I believed in myself. He loaded the hovercart. And because if peace dies, he loses more than just his mom. The jungle behind them faded into silence. Ahead of them, across barren hills and broken roads, lay spaceports, soldiers, spies, and the truth that could change 2 civilizations forever. And now, that truth was awake. The transmission room was soylent. Soraya sat in the center, weak but upright, wrapped in a cloak of midnight blue. Her skin still showed signs of the poison. Her voice had barely returned, but her message was ready. Kale stood by her side, holding her hand. Jalen and Lyra stood at the door, watching the countdown on the screen. Comlink to Unity Council. Signal. Locked. 15 seconds, Jalen whispered. Are you sure you want to do this? Soraya nodded slowly. I have stayed quiet too long. The galaxy must know what happened. What nearly happened. The screen lit up with a soft chime. Connection active. The council was listening. Soraya looked into the lens, and she began. Leaders of the Union and those watching beyond, my name is Soraya of the Nareen. I was meant to disappear, but I did not. I was sent to Earth's outer colony with an offer of peace, but fear, lies, and hatred tried to bury that offer in fire and death. She held up a shard of the broken memory crystal from her ship. This was meant to link our memories, our stories, with yours, so no child on either side would grow up thinking the other was a monster. Kale's eyes filled with tears. Jalen placed a hand on his shoulder, but my ship was sabotaged, my body poisoned. And even as I lay dying, no human voice came to help me. Her eyes glistened, except one. She turned slightly toward Jalen. One man, a mechanic, a stranger with no weapon, no army, no command, only kindness. He carried my body. He protected my son. He risked everything. Jalen looked down, humbled. And because of him, I speak to you now. The room remained still for a long moment. Then, a second screen blinked on. A human counselor appeared. His eyes were cold. This is unauthorized. There is no proof of sabotage. This is alien propaganda. Jalen stepped forward. I saw it. I pulled the child from the wreck. I watched her body fail from poison your people made. The counselor narrowed his eyes. You're a traitor. Soraya stood shakily. No, he is what hope looks like. Suddenly, alarms blared. The building shook. Lyra looked at the security. Feed. They're here. Armed soldiers. Moving fast. Jalen grabbed a shock rifle. They'll try to stop the transmission. Soraya looked back at the screen. I will not run again. Kale pulled the cloak around her tighter. We'll protect you, Mom. Doors crashed open. Soldiers in black stormed in. Lyra shot the lights. Everything went dark except for the glowing transmission screen. Jalen fought at the entrance, buying time. Cale stood in front of his mother. She has the right to speak. The lead soldier raised a blaster. Not anymore. But he never fired, because behind them, a new signal appeared, from dozens of systems, from humans, from aliens, from rebels, from peacekeepers. They had heard her voice. They were responding. The lead soldier paused, confused, and then a voice came from his comm. Stand down. New orders. From the council itself. He looked around, then lowered his weapon. The soldiers retreated. Jalen sat down exhausted. Bleeding. Soraya turned to him. You didn't just save me. You saved the message. Cale hugged him tightly. You're not just a human anymore, he whispered. You're family. Weeks later, new peace talks began, but they did not start with governments or generals. They started with a boy's cry in the dark, a mechanic who chose to listen, and a mother who finally got to speak. And from that, the galaxy changed. Forever.